My name is Erin Hahn. I am on the Hills Together kind of, I guess, guider team, I don't know. But I've been tasked for the last couple of years to help with grant application recruitment, and it's super fun. As Becky could probably attest, I call you a lot. And but I love having conversations with all of our local nonprofits and trying to find, synergies where we can to see, how Heals Together could be a good fit to help your organization and help women and children in Hardin County. So with that introduction, I was wondering if you guys, gals, would like to introduce yourself really quickly. I'm sure everybody knows Devette, though.
I'm Devette Sweeney. I'm with Central Kentucky Community Foundation, and we house the Hills Together initiative here.
I guess it's me next. Oh, sorry.
I'm Becky Allen, and I'm the director of the Community Health Clinic, but I am departing, and this is the introduction for Venus Cornett as my replacement to you guys. We also have Jessica Daly in the room with us, who helped write the grant when we were awarded in the past.
So where are you going, Becky? Congratulations and welcome.
Thank you. I'm still going to be affiliated with this nonprofit as a grant writing consultant. I'm also going to do some nursing stuff and maybe become a nurse practitioner.
Fantastic.
Your face froze, and I'm confused. Our internet connection is very slow here for some reason.
No problem. No problem. Diane, do you want to go ahead?
I am Diane Kelly, and I am the director of the Heartland Adult Education Consortium. We do the GED program, Skills U program for Hardin, Hart, LaRue, Marion, and Breckenridge County.
Oh, fantastic.
We are the GED plus so much more people.
What about you, Hope?
Hi, I'm Hope Burke, and I'm the executive director here at Helping Hand of Hope. So I've been in this position, it'll be a year in November, I think it is. We'll go with that. We'll go with the year in November.
Oh, that's awesome. Awesome. I can't see anybody else, so I know that there's a couple of others.
Dawn, I think Dawn's next, sorry.
I'm Dawn Cash, and I'm the executive director for Warm Blessings. I'm fairly new too, been here since January.
Oh, that's awesome. Fantastic. Is there anybody else?
Hey.
Oh, hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello. My name is Tanya McElroy, and I'm supervisor for East Center in Elizabethtown, which is part of CommuniCare. And we run a 28-day residential treatment program for women here. So.
Oh, fantastic. Good to meet you.
You too.
And I'm Candy Grimes. I'm also with CommuniCare, and I'm the supervisor for a 6-month long-term recovery treatment center for women. We accept pregnant, postpartum, or parenting women.
Wonderful. Oh. Well, I applaud every single one of you. I think was that it of all the ones that are on?
I think we've got a couple more.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Hi, I'm Susan Ryan, and I actually work with Ruthie Miller. I noticed she's on here as well. We're both grant writers for Hardin County Schools. And actually, I didn't realize she was going to attend this meeting, so I don't want to be rude, but I may buzz off if she's taking over this actual grant project. So anyway,
It's good to see your face.
Yeah, it's good to see everybody, and there's so many wonderful people on this on this chat here. So good to see everybody.
You too.
Yes, I'm here. I don't know if you can hear me. I'm here, Ruthie Miller.
We can hear you.
Okay, I'm on audio because I am a mess. I'm painting a house right now. So I'm not showing my face, but I'm here listening, and I'm looking forward to this grant opportunity.
Multitasking at its best.
Yes, absolutely.
And is there a K on?
There she is.
Hi, Dad.
So if you haven't used Zoom a lot, you can change your speaker view up in the top right-hand corner where it'll either show you who's speaking, or you can do gallery view where you can see everyone, and you can scroll across at the top or put it on where it'll show you up to 12 people at one time. So just do whichever of that works the best for you, and you can do full screen view as well. We're going to share some slides here in a little bit, and so then you can either screen and show just the slides, or whoever's speaking at the time. So if you have any questions or any challenges with using Zoom or being able to see what we're showing, feel free to hit something in the chat, and I'll try to keep my eye on that, so that if you're having any issues at all, we can address those, or just pop up and say, hey, that's not working for me. We'll try to get it fixed.
What? Are you muted? Mute yourself.
Well, like I was getting ready to say, I think all of you, I commend you for the roles that you play in our community. I work for the news enterprise in an advertising director role, but just reading the paper, I know that I hear about each and every one of you, either through storylines or things that are just happening in our community. So getting to see some of you as far as on a personal front touches me, because I know that our county is in such good hands with your leadership. So I know that a few of you have participated in our grant application workshops in the past. Like I said, they've usually been on a personal front, which I do so much better than on a Zoom thing. Because I think I'm more touchy-feely. I don't know, but we'll try to do. I'll try to do the best that I can. I'll be taking notes. But I think, as Devette had said at the beginning, I'd like to make it as conversational as possible. I know that sometimes when we're in Zoom meetings, it's not as free-flowing as it typically is. But and even if you don't feel like conversing over this, please feel free. We'll have our contact information at the end of the talk or the workshop, and feel free to reach out to either one of us if there's anything that we can do to help. That's what we're here for. So today's agenda pretty much will be an overview of an education of what Heals Together is. And then it's more or less, giving you some time to pause for a minute to really think, you guys understand your organizations way better than I do. So, thinking about how Heals Together and what our mission is and how that aligns with your organization are really the second two topics. Going over past recipients, and I'll talk a little bit about what those grant winners did and accomplished, but then also going through examples and brainstorming. Again, you can make it a little bit more introspective, or you can shout out, any ideas that you have, but keeping in mind really alignment of, again, what we are doing for Heals, but then how that could be applicable to how your organization works, and maybe what kind of hot topics you have on your radar. I mean, as we all know, 2020 has kind of hit us a couple of curveballs. So, the world is very different than it was maybe 6 months ago, and so your perception in your organization may have changed. Your maybe some ideas of some curriculum or what's the word I'm looking for, or programs might have come up, bubbled up because of what's, of everything that's been going on. So so that'll be, kind of some examples. So keep that kind of stuff in mind. And then I'll just kind of go over briefly. I don't know if many of you, I know some of you have written grants in the past, but maybe you might be a little new coming into it. So I just have some kind of best practices of things to think of as you're writing. And then Devette will go into our application process. So I'll kind of let Devette take it from here as far as kind of the brief history of Heels Together and that kind of deal.
Thanks, Erin. So Heels Together started, we celebrated our 5th year of grant awards last November. We actually started about 6, probably close to 7 years ago now, getting things off the ground. And it came about because a group of women came together and decided that there was need and opportunity for us to help lift up other women and girls in our community. And that if we came together collectively, combining our resources and our ideas, that we could make a bigger impact than what we could do individually in trying to create new opportunities. So we know that a lot of the women involved in Heels Together support these organizations, many that are applying for grants, but that when we pull our dollars collectively to say we want to put these toward something that will make a difference in the lives of women and girls specifically, that we can impact change and difference even better than we can by our individual gifts. So that was the premise of Heels Together. It started with a group of probably 10 or 12 women that had lunch together in the Brown Pusey Garden in May one year to throw out the idea and say, does this have merit? And people believed it did. And so we got to work. Heels Together, just because I think it's important from the grant writing perspective to understand how Heels Together is funded. And it is funded out of the generosity of women who write checks. There's not state or federal money that comes in to do this. It is all because people personally believe in the mission of Heels Together. And so we're very vested in making sure that we are good stewards of those gifts. And we're all donors to it ourselves, like it's our dollars in as well. We're sort of the group that's helping guide and make the decisions on behalf of everyone that invests. So we take that responsibility very seriously, and we're personally vested in it. So when you're applying, these are real dollars that people have given from their own pocketbooks to help make this happen because they believe so much in making a difference for women and girls right here in Hardin County. So that's how it came to be. Over the years, we've awarded over $100,000 in Heels Together grants, and I think that takes us I was supposed to be on the slide. Oops, sorry. that was our first year of Heels Together. The core team that was helping pull it all together, that was at our first banquet. So we've all aged a little bit since then, or I have anyway, I'll speak for me there. But that takes us to our past grant recipients. Erin, do you want to walk through those?
Sure. Absolutely. So this is kind of the time to kind of be thinking about, okay, this is like past, and not that we want to replicate anything, but it might get you kind of just thinking a little bit more about how, what kind of grant you're thinking about writing. In 2015, we awarded to Helping Hands of Hope for Heels Academy, which was to empower underprivileged women to achieve self-sufficiency by connecting them with community resources and providing one-on-one coaching to address specific needs. It was highly successful. We also awarded Casa of the Heartland to promote leadership skills and confidence, safety, well-being, and community engagement, financial stability and independence for at-risk girls and young women in our community. As I think it was as we were, leaving, as many times, young women, when they leave the foster community or foster care, they don't quite have that foundation to help them reach the next steps in adulthood. And that was kind of the bridge that CASA put together there. In 2016, we awarded CommuniCare, Passages Transitional Housing Program, which I'm sure some of you guys know that it was a great program for helping women rise from addiction and become self-sufficient through gaining and maintaining meaningful employment. So again, really creating that bridge of getting them into a success track. And then with Hardin County Schools, Brooke Whitlow and Shattered Glass has been an ongoing success story. in raising awareness to get females more involved in STEM programs. She is now not only just in Hardin County, but now in Nelson. And I think that she'd go nationwide if somebody didn't tether her string. So just huge success there. But again, I do want to pause for a second and say, that's the other great thing, and I think maybe Devette mentioned it, is that all of this money stays in Hardin County. It really helps the people that are in our backyard. And as we never know what's going on behind closed doors, to our neighbors. This is something we feel like we would hopefully be able to help those neighbors that are in need. In 2017, we did Big Brothers Big Sisters of Kentucky Anna project Reach Her, which was a mentoring program designed to address unique challenges that girls had maybe in empowerment activities and self-confidence training. And then we also awarded Elizabethtown Independent Schools STEMtastic Summit. And that was kind of also in line with the Shattered Glass project and taking, women, young girls in a mentoring program this time around of getting older girls to actually mentor some younger girls to get them to open their eyes to more STEM practices. And then we also had a third recipient in 2017, which was Silverleaf. And this one was kind of near and dear to my heart because I actually worked on the Healing Garden. But it's a great space behind their facility, and it really helps foster kind of the opening of literally healing these women's wounds if they're not able, and young girls, don't get me wrong. But many of these folks, as you probably know, as they come in to see some of you in your facilities, they might not have the verbal, the words to get out of how they're feeling and how they're healing and are trying to heal. And this gives them another outlet, whether it's through painting or doing, gardening and just looking at the flowers and being in the elements. It's just a really, really great space, and it's impacted, I know, their success rate in getting some of these children and women to open up. In 2018, we should probably put community health clinic, up at the top, with Becky. she's a huge advocate of ours, and we so appreciate you, Becky. But we awarded a program which really came out of a conversation that Becky and Julia Springsteen and I had one day when we came to her facility. She showed us, this new X-ray equipment. She's like, I'm so excited to have this X-ray equipment. I can't stand it, blah, 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 blah. And then I got some venture stuff going on. She has very little energy, So, but we just sat down and we started talking about how we could, streamline, being able to give her the money that she would need for the hard costs, I guess, involved in getting these folks, the senior citizens that can't get dentures so they can eat, things like that. That was just super, super successful, and it was just awesome. We also awarded Warm Blessings. One thing that we don't have as a parent is that we don't have a public transportation system in our community. So one thing that Warm Blessings came to us with was a ride to independence, and it was giving them the ability for, some of these transitional folks that wanted, jobs, wanted to go to that career, but didn't have a way to get to the places that they wanted to go. This enabled them to have that transportation to get there. And then finally, last year, we awarded Elizabethtown Community and Technical College the Camp Forge Ahead. And how this idea stemmed was really, getting with ECTC and talking with them about, they do a really great job at promoting more hands-on, traditionally male career-oriented skills like electrical or welding or manufacturing or automotive. So we got with them to create a camp, which has kind of been put on the back burner just because of the COVID thing. It couldn't happen this summer. But, you know, having a chance to teaching girls about some of these more male-dominated businesses or skills, and bringing them kind of to the forefront, and just seeing if they have interest. And then finally, we awarded Hardin County Attorney's Office Breaking the Silence on Dating Violence. This was something that they came to us and asked, you know, we would really like to have a focus on combating the national statistic of women between the ages of 16 to 24 that are 3 times more likely than the rest of the population to be abused by an intimate partner. So this had a very specific task and need of like wanting to create, you know, curriculum and conversation starters to help these women either, you know, see what kind of abusive relationships they're in, and then maybe how ways that we could get them the help they needed to get out of those situations. So that's been the laundry list in a very capsulated time frame of all of the programs that we have funded to make up that over $100,000. And all of them have been wildly successful. So I might, you know, first of all, does anybody have any questions or comments or anything on what I just kind of reviewed? Because, you know, I'll talk all day long, you know, so, so please stop me. So this is kind of the brainstorming session. And again, you know, I welcome, you know, open conversation. I think it would be fantastic. But at the same time, you know, if you do want to just connect with Yvette or me after this call, we would also love to have an opportunity to sit down with you either by telephone or in person to talk a little bit further about what your ideas might be. So the 3 prongs of the Hills Together kind of mission is really thinking about educational opportunities, leadership development, and economic empowerment for women and children in Hardin County. So in Yvette's and my little brainstorming session that we had, we started thinking about, you know, what that means in our world currently. So I'm an analytic geek, so I've pulled some statistics that are pertaining to us locally, and these are kind of more or less just kind of thought-provoking things that I thought that we could discuss. So as far as educational opportunities are concerned, you know, first thing that we thought of was, you know, what would be so cool is to have, you know, something that could have a conversation or curriculum that would talk about inclusion. You know, the diversity in Hardin County, you know, we're made up of over 100,000 people. And, you know, 82% of us are considered white, 12.2% considered African American, 6%, 6% are considered Hispanic or Latino, and, you know, 4% are considered more than one race or something of that nature. So, you know, I feel like, you know, this is a great time, a great platform for us to maybe be able to think about, you know, what could an inclusion curriculum be about in our school system? You know, ultimately, you know, reading an article yesterday after E-Town school board meeting, you know, parents, you know, voice their opinions about wanting to make sure that their children feel loved and included and feel safe in their schools. And, you know, I think that could be an inclusion type of curriculum, or even if it's a task force or something. I'm totally thinking out loud, hence the brainstorming part. But just kind of thinking out loud about how great that would be if all of our schools, you know, adopted something, maybe in partnership with another nonprofit, about creating some sort of curriculum like that. The other topic of discussion would be, and this is kind of more on a personal note, you know, the NTI programs for education and this is more probably universal than just young girls, but we could cater it towards young girls. You know, hopefully we start on August 5th or right around there, but we don't know if that's going to happen. But I know on a personal sense, my daughter has dyslexia, and the last 2 months of NTI curriculum was a horrendous struggle for us. You know, she's an auditory learner, and NTI, you know, Google Classroom and I fought a couple of times, but in the Google Classroom always won. But you know, but it was definitely more reading and you know, do this and do that, and it took some interpretation, which my daughter just doesn't have that capability, you know, to do. So so I brought up, you know, the whole fact that, you know, could it be a possibility, or could there be funding that there could be an NTI tutoring? And I know that there was a line, a phone number that you could call, you know, for that, for any sort of help or anything. But I just thought that could be something else that could, you know, in the sense that knowing that, you know, that teachers have been tasked with the fact that they should, you know, expect to have interim school closures next year, and to create that curriculum for NTI. And then finally, another educational / I guess more health-oriented idea or brainstorming opportunity could be preventative health programs as it relates maybe to COVID-19. And this kind of goes with the economic side of stuff. You know, in our region, 14% of the population in Hardin County lives below the poverty line. And the largest demographic living in that poverty line are females ages 25 to 34, and many of them probably have young children, you know, some of which might not be able to afford masks, you know, for them, or, you know, antibacterial soap, you know, any other sort of personal protection that they might need. So that was just kind of another idea. And then also working maybe on doing more PSA type of things in our school system, but maybe also locally for underdeveloped areas of people that might just not be aware of what the best personal hygiene might be to help prevent the spread of COVID. So I'm going to shut up for 2 seconds, and I'm going to see if you guys want to talk at all. And I'm not going to go any further than that right now. And please, you know, please chime in if you have questions. Like, I think that many times when we're brainstorming, a lot of times questions of like, where in the heck did you figure that one up, Aaron, or something like that. You know, please feel free to have, you know, give me feedback at all if you have any.
I do have a question. I'm starting my video again, sorry, because I'm having to help outside with clients. But my question with the ways, because I mean, I read a little bit about before some of the things that, like when Helping Hand of Hope got one, obviously prior to us, the ways that all this will work, like being able to apply for something and do it with COVID. I mean, I know we're talking about like if schools aren't back in and different things like that, but what's going to determine if a program's going to, I guess, with the new normal that we're in, look good to be able to advance and ask for money, if that makes sense, because everything, as you know, is changing every day. So I guess that's my whole thing is like, are we going to try to brainstorm like everyone together, or is it like as our agency, okay, I'm going to have to come up with something and then someone else and see if we can all work together with that?
It doesn't have to be something that it has to be cohesive. You know, you could figure out something if you wanted to, you know, just solely on your own. You know, one thing that might help with as you're brainstorming, you know, typically in the years past, we have always, you know, pretty much been kind of stringent on what the dollars go towards. It would usually go towards a specific program or need for your services. And so this year, though, because of COVID, we have kind of released those stringencies a little bit and increased to 60% of the overall ask of the grant can actually go towards operational funding.
Okay.
So what that means is that, time and energy spent, maybe because your organization might have, fewer people to do their work, this would be able to help just the overall structure of what you're trying to accomplish within your organization. Did I answer it? I mean, Yvette, you can chime in.
Yeah, I mean, you did. That was my big, because, and also sometimes too, I've noticed, like, and maybe it's just me, but like, I mean, it takes a village, I always feel like, and so many times, like, I'm like, hey, okay, you can call over to Dawn at Warm Blessings, or, okay, you can't get this, you need to call Community Health Clinic, or, different things like that. So I didn't know if it was something that we were all working together with for this, or if it was something that was just like, okay, Helping Hand's going to do this, and then, Community Health Clinic's going to do this and that.
Yeah. No, I mean, and these, you can go out rogue on your own and totally do something completely different. Just as, I mean, pretty much at the end game is that it has something involved with educational opportunities, leadership development, or economic empowerment of young women and girls in Hardin County.
Okay.
But it is, I would love, many times as we're having like the in-person workshop, I do task, some of nonprofits to come together to see if there are any synergies, because I think that there are power in numbers, but that is not a requirement.
Okay.
When we did the previous grant recipients, there was always one lead applicant, one agency that received the actual dollars, but several of those were great collaborations between multiple organizations. We've actually seen some of the most effective ones have been collaborations. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to do that, but if there's a natural fit to work with another organization for what you want to do, we do encourage you to get together with those organizations and brainstorm and look at who can do what. But as Aaron said, for the brainstorming we're doing during the session right now, it's more about just getting those ideas flowing and things to come to fruition. It doesn't mean that you have to be brainstorming something you would do together. Sometimes there are great ideas that one entity is perfectly capable of carrying out on their own. They may involve others in the delivery process, but from the application standpoint, it may only be a single organization. So we're definitely open to both ways.
Thank you for answering that. Thanks.
I had one question, I think. I'm sorry if I interrupted someone.
Oh, go ahead.
And I think that, if you've won an award in the past, you cannot win in a consecutive year. So hopefully, we can reapply. But do you fund programs that you've previously funded before, like the X-ray program, the mammography program, and the preventative health things that we do for women? Would that be acceptable since it's already been funded once as a program?
I don't know, Yvette, do you want to answer?
We've not addressed that before. We've not been doing this long enough for that in particular to come up. We did say that we wouldn't fund organizations in consecutive years. We have said we will lift that this year because of the different circumstances. So even the winners last year would be eligible to apply again this year if they wanted to. In terms of the same program, we don't have a restriction that says you could not apply for that same program. But like everything else, I always say, I can't tell you how our investors would feel about that either. I would think that something a little different would be more attractive, but I mean, something that's working and proven, and particularly in these circumstances with COVID-19 where everything is different, I think folks might have a little more aptitude for that. And I know some of you know how this grant process works, but maybe everybody doesn't, and we'll get into the full details of that. But, it does come down to how people vote, how people feel about your project. And so I'm always quick to say, when I'm giving you feedback along those lines, I can't tell you what a room full of 40 other women are going to think. Lord knows I can't tell you what a room full of 40 people are going to think. But, those are just considerations to keep in mind as you decide what is the best thing for you to put into your application.
Okay.
Yes.
So my question would be, I know that you had funded Communicare with the Passages program in the past. Communicare has, 100 different programs, and we're a very new program for women in addiction. Would it be okay to apply again on behalf of that program?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. And we have very specific needs here at the treatment facility. Any ideas that that would have to do with how we could partner with the community for our needs? Because our needs would be helping women that come into treatment that have no clothes except one outfit on their back, that have no hygiene products, haven't taken a bath in maybe days or weeks, and they have no way to get those things because they've burned all the bridges that they have. And it's a struggle for us to be able to provide those things. We were able to recently because of a grant, and so we're trying to figure that out again.
I think I love that idea. I think you're going somewhere with it. I think what you just said, that word specific, I just from my past years of hearing the grant applicants, I think the more specifics that you put into your grant, the more it's a success. And so I would highly tell you yes. I think that sometimes when you give more of a concept and broad strokes, and what it would be utilized for, but some of these women might be hearing about this program for the very first time. So the more specifics that you can provide, and actually, and again, we'll get into this in a little while, but the more of a narrative that you can provide them, I think, would be excellent.
Okay. And I mean, like for us, COVID has affected us in the way that women are relapsing at a much higher rate due to lack of community support, isolation. Women that maybe live in poverty are now having extra money that is going towards substance abuse. There's a huge overdose rate right now that has like quadrupled just in the last couple of months. And we're trying to fight that.
Right. Absolutely. No, I think that is that should definitely be something that we scream loudly about and pursue.
All right.
Anybody else have any questions or comments? Go ahead, Becky.
Sorry. I believe in years past, you did define that you don't do anything that's related to religious practices or abortion or anything like that. But since the health department stopped doing family planning, and there's nowhere for young girls to go for proper education and treatment and treatment of sexually transmitted diseases if they don't have insurance, is there anything against that? We have nothing to do with abortion.
Right.
We just provide health care, and we want to provide women's care we do it the same way the health department does it, in that if a minor comes in, there's no home contact. That's the law with the state, but we do it free. Is there anything standing in the way of that being part of our project?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
How many women does Communicare house in that project?
Sorry about that. 12.
Plus children.
Plus children, yes. They can't bring one child with them to treatment under the age of 5.
And what is the need now that, with you having just 12, but how many do you have to turn away?
It It varies. So it's yeah. There's no specific numbers. It varies a lot.
We do struggle with. I would say probably 80% of our women come in from jail, and coming in from jail, they maybe have been there a week, maybe 6 months, no ties with any family or families 3 hours away. And we aren't taking visitors right now.
Right.
And so and we're having to find donations for them or raid our own closets to bring in clothes and shampoo and body wash and razors and like things that we would normally take for granted. They do not have and have no way of getting. Calling cards, you know, they're not able to call home because they have no money. And it happens more than it doesn't.
We could partner with you.
That's not how you do it.
We could partner with you in, we take a lot of people who just get out of jail and we get them Medicaid.
Yeah.
We can develop a clothing closet because we have many donations that we donate elsewhere, but we can designate them for you.
That would be amazing.
We also get free products from AmeriCares. We get free products from AmeriCares because we're a part of the National Association of Free and Charitable Clinics. And we get, like right now, we've got shampoo, toothpaste, soap. Lotion. And it has to go to people that are in poverty.
Yeah.
And those women, I mean, we can partner with you.
That would be amazing.
I think
because once the Habitat for Humanity clothing closet shut down, there is no assistance. Like we're having to figure out things, you know, have them borrow clothes from other participants, or like I said, you know, bring our own clothes in, and it's just, or they wear scrubs. You know, we had to buy some scrub sets, and they had to wear that, you know, every day until we could figure something out. And it's been a struggle.
We'd be glad to help you and work together.
That'd be amazing.
I love it when things like this come together. So in the sake of time, you know, I don't want this to be prolonged any longer than an hour, because I know that you guys have to get back to your work. But just to kind of move along, as far as leadership development. Oh, do you want? Oh,
are you kidding me?
No, it's okay. It's okay. But just quickly, as far as leadership development is concerned, something that's always been on our radar, of a grant that we've kind of always envisioned from someone in the local level, has been a female growth program of something that would be more of a female leadership program. You know, we have Leadership Hardin. We have a couple of, I guess, you know, local businesses that have leadership programs, but something that, you know, could really help develop, whether it's, you know, kind of working with maybe junior achievement or something like that, but developing a curriculum that really empowers the growth on a professional level for women. And then finally, on economic empowerment, you know, in this time, we have heard a lot about, you know, the need of legal aid, of whether, you know, women aren't able to pay their rent, or, you know, they've been out of a job, but they don't know how to navigate the unemployment system. So, you know, offering free legal assistance, or knowing, you know, where we can go to provide that would be wonderful. And then the other part of that is the senior community. You know, 14% of the Hardin County population is made up of people that are 65 and older. I couldn't quite figure out how many of those would be women, but, you know, they are in need of, with this isolation, you know, obviously it's been a detriment to their socialization. You know, sometimes they've even been scared to go out, so they have the need of nutritious food, basic supplies, and also medical assistance. And you know, homecareassistance.org had said that, social engagement or lack of social engagement can completely exasperate the decline in a 65-year or older person's mental facilities or faculties. I'm sorry. But also, how they cognitively think, not having that, just that interaction and being able to work their brains. So, something that we had thought about was, could it be something as simple as, the school system partners with another nonprofit of sorts, and we do a pen pal program where each week, there'll be a certain number of students that can work on their writing skills and their reading skills by writing a letter to these senior citizens. And then they look forward every single week of getting this wonderful letter of substance and then writing something back to them. I think that will help with overall inclusion in our community, but also, we don't know how long this, the physical separation is going to be for some of these folks. And maybe it's something that we pinpoint. It's not necessarily just senior citizens that are 65 and older. Maybe it's nursing home communities where we pinpoint first. So, so again, those are kind of just some brainstorming ideas that we had or topics of discussion. So, does anybody have any questions about those? Okay, well, then we can move on to kind of some of the best practices. And I can send out this kind of Word document that I put together to everybody just to kind of keep at hand. But I'll do a brief overview is, the biggies are, we have 501c3 status for 1 year and financial records. And then for 2020, the grants can be used up, I'm sorry, I meant 50% of the total asked to be used for operational budget, because we know that it's not necessarily always about the hard costs involved for physical things. We need hot bodies to be able to do or to see what into fruition of what you guys envision as far as your ask is concerned. So some things just to keep in mind. I've thought that a best practice is to utilize grant writing in a 4-step framework, which means, really asking the question of, what is the need in the community for your organization, how to address that need, and then what is the cost, and then how can we help in that regard. So, I typically would do a lot of free writing when you start your grant process, because your mind's going to be all over the place, but then kind of pinpointing, what those 5 or 4 steps are, and how you can frame the overall grant writing. The great thing about the grant writing for this year is that the vet has made it all online. So it's just one click away, which is super fantastic. Couple of other things was, to make sure that the guidelines are clear. To your point, as far as like having specifics are concerned, I think that is key. Utilizing data to tell your story and building that rapport with your audience, I think is another key initiative in writing your grant. Making that, I think that all of you do a yeoman's effort in having that fire in your belly for what you do, but to be able to portray that to some folks that might not be educated as much on what you do day to day, being able to do that when you talk about your grant application of the initiative, I think would really be very effective. And then tell the same story as you do in the narrative, and do that also in the budget. So kind of help to walk that person through, the reader, of okay, I've told you the story, I've tugged at your heartstrings. I really think that this is a lot of stuff that we can do, and it's going to be fantastic. And this is how we're going to do it. And that comes in with the measurables of, this is the money we need, this is what we're asking for. But look on the flip side of what the success is going to be because of what we're going to be doing, as you've described in the narrative. Using a lot of descriptive words is key, and this might be very elementary for some of you folks if you've already done a lot of grant applications, and I apologize, but I think that you know, not using like super long words that, you know, we'll need to look on our Webster's dictionary app to figure out what it is, but you know, just more descriptive words of again, trying to explain you know, the purpose and procedure and the outcome of what your hope is, you know, for the grant application. And then also, you know, I think that the huge connection is working on best practices, doing some research on maybe some other communities that are like ours, where you're proposing this grant idea and you'll see, okay, well, you know, maybe it was somewhere in Arkansas or somewhere in Illinois where this kind of program worked very successfully, and talking to those people, trying to figure out best practices, you know, what did you do in these situations, that kind of deal. And then hiring a proofreader or editor. I will loan Ben Sharon out if anybody wants him. He's a great editor and he will rip your grant to shreds. No, I'm kidding. But you know, if you know, I love reading them. If you want to send them to me, you know, I'll be more than happy to help in any way with grammatical and that kind of deal. So, but I would definitely ask, you know, to do a proofreader. And then you know, I would also give yourself adequate time. You'll see in the next, and not the next slide, but the following slide. This year, again, we're gonna blame it on COVID. Usually I'd be having these workshops in May. That didn't happen. So the letter of intent deadline is actually July 3rd. Oh no, wait, July 1st. July 1st, sorry. So, but all that is the letter of intent. It is simply a letter or an email to DeVette saying, hey, we have a great idea. This is what the concept kind of is right now, and it could be one sentence, and we have an intent to write a grant application, you know, for Heals Together. And then you'll have 30 days to actually work on the grant and vet it out and you know, actually write what you want to do about.
Actually, Erin, sorry, we changed that to July 15th.
Yay, so even better.
We were later doing this workshop, but that letter is seriously, it's just an email even that just says, hey, we intend to apply. It helps us prepare for the grant review process. We just need that you're going to apply and an estimated dollar amount.
So just some things to keep in mind of, you know, what to wear, what not to wear. You know, we in our laws, we do not fund capital campaigns, endowments, pass-through scholarships. It says duplication of existing services, but to your point, Becky, I think that we're kind of putting that to the wayside this year. And taking into consideration, you know, some things that we might have done in the past or funding in the past, or it could be if it's an existing service that you're doing right now, maybe tweaking it a little bit to enhance what you're doing. You know, so it's yes, we're offering, you know, 12 beds right now at CommuniCare, but we want to offer 20 or, you know, something like that. You know, program promoting religious beliefs, private foundations, legacy programs exceeding more than 3 years, and then salary contributions of organization founders or related persons. Now that of course does not go into the, you know, that is kind of the caveat of the 50% for operational, you know, portion of the grant ask.
Does that mean that you can't pay wages for like care coordinators?
No. That's really, it's more or less of just like like, let's say the organizational founder. So they can't pocket the money necessarily.
Okay.
But no, we do know that, again, like this year, that there is probably a very significant need for a portion of those operational costs to go to personnel.
Thank you.
Yep. So this is kind of the timeline, a little bit more of a grace period, which is super fantastic, of July 15th for the letter of intent. The grant application submission date is August 3rd. And then, of course, there's always just the mid-year status report on how things are going. We typically do, with the grant application submission on August 3rd, there's usually about a month of where the review committee will review the grant. And then we will notify you if you'll be doing a grant presentation at our investors dinner. That usually happens in October.
Yeah, late October, early November.
So, and then the other great part of that is that you'll know that evening. You know, we do a vote right then and there, and you'll know before you leave that evening if you receive the grant, which is super exciting.
It's a great time.
Mm-hmm.
You guys do a great job.
Well, thanks.
So the grant awards are, you know, the finalists, as Erin said, are selected through our review process, but then the actual grants are decided upon by our investors that night when they hear your in-person presentation, and then they vote on where the dollars go. So, you know, we can give you input and feedback. We can't help you write your grant application. You know, we can answer questions about the process and what's important and that kind of thing, but we can't help you actually write your grant application, and we won't help somebody else write their grant application either. So that night, then we cast our vote just like everybody else, and then we find out who wins based on totaling those votes. So it is a fun night, but there's, you know, no predicting how that vote's going to come out, because it's how everybody feels about the different applications, what they prioritize that will have the most impact for women and girls, you know, and how that vote comes out. So with that, I guess now, do you want me to talk about the application process real quick, Erin?
Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm.
2 minutes. I got 2 minutes. So this year, you can do the grant application process online, which is awesome. And for some of you who applied for our Central Kentucky CARES Fund, it is that same platform. So hopefully you found that easy to use. I know sometimes people get nervous about, you know, online application process, but we really had good feedback on it through that process. We had nobody call us going, I can't figure this out. So we'll take that as a win every day. But once you complete your first grant application in there, then all of your organizational information is in there, and you don't have to do that again. So if you did make application through that Central Kentucky CARES process, you won't have to do some of those basic pieces again. So to make a Heels Together application, you can go to our website, ckcf4people.org, and you can click under grant making and go to Heels Together. And on that page, it will tell you some in general, just about Heels Together, what it's about, some of what we've talked about on this workshop. But there's a button that says apply for a Heels Together grant. And when you click that, it will take you to the online portal to register if you've not created an account before. And if you have, then it'll take you into your account and you can start a Heels Together application. It is live as of yesterday afternoon. So you can go in there, you can look at it, you can work on it along the way. You don't have to do the whole application all at once. You can work on it, save, come back, work on it some more. You can, you know, take a break, let other people review it and things before you submit it. But if you get into the online application process and you have any problems at all, any questions, if something's not clear, feel free to give me a call or shoot me an email, because we don't want that to be a challenge for anyone, but hopefully it'll work easier for you than the paper application has in the past. But with that, it is a hard and fast deadline. So on August 3rd at 5 p.m., that system will close. If you have not finished your application and you go in at 6 p.m. or at midnight and thinking, I'm just going to go in and hit submit, it will be closed. It will not let you do it. So make sure, excuse me, make sure that, you know, that you get it done on time.
Okay. What's the last slide? I don't even know what that is. Oh, it's questions. Oh. Good. Well, does anybody have any questions? Well, we're going to leave up the contact information just so you guys can have it. the next step that I would really encourage you to do is go back and have a meeting of the minds with all of your peeps, and see if there is something that could maybe come to fruition. And then secondly, give me a shout. I would love the opportunity to sit down, or via phone call, sit down with you and talk about what your ideas are, and get the ball rolling. I think that I think that once we have like the framework, or you have the framework, and just throwing some ideas off of each other, you can hit the ground running and send that email to Devette saying that you want to do something.
Did you say you were going to send this PowerPoint to us?
Oh, we can. Yeah, absolutely. I will be sending you. I will be sending you the best practices for grant writing.
Okay.
But then also, yeah, I can definitely send the PowerPoint.
That would be great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
If you want the PowerPoint and you didn't register ahead of time for the workshop, I know some people got the information forwarded to them from other people. Just shoot me or Aaron, either one. Actually, shoot Aaron an email because you've got the PowerPoint, yeah, so that we can get it to you, because we only have emails for the people that registered ahead of time. So if you want that PowerPoint, just shoot her an email, please.
Would someone from Communicare like to drop by here tomorrow and we can get you some supplies? Maybe around noon?
Yes.
How about that?
Yes.
I love it. Yay!
Yeah, I'll say that the connections that we've made through Hills Together, for opportunities like that, some small and some big, have really been an unexpected outshoot of our grant process. And the things that we've been able to make happen far exceed what was listed in those past recipients. And that's some of what's really neat to see happen. We've talked a lot today about needs, and with COVID, needs are higher than maybe they are at other times, or at least different for sure. But a big part of what Hills Together has always been about too is about opportunity. And, we do always want to balance that we're doing some work to help people that are in need today, but that we're also investing in the future, and that we're doing things that help create opportunity and do things to support and lift people up long term as well. So, we have people that, fall more strongly supporting one way or the other. And so we always like to have a mix of things that sort of address both areas, and women, adults, as well as our younger girls. So just keep all those in mind. I think right now it is easy to get sort of tied into, oh my gosh, the needs that are here today as we see some of these situations. But we also know that there's a lot of opportunity to invest, particularly in our girls, and in opportunities that help give them new chances and experiences and things. And those are still important to do in our community as well. That was my box for the moment. Sorry.
I'm sorry. Was there a cap amount that you can ask for? Like if you collaborate with another organization, or just as your organization, is there a cap amount you can ask for?
There is not a cap amount, but I can tell you that we usually don't have more than somewhere between $20,000 and $25,000 to award. So if you write a grant for $50,000, we just don't have it.
Right.
We don't have it. So I think the most we've awarded out in 1 year was $25,000. And, we're still seeing exactly where we'll fall in dollars to go out this year, as we look at what our investors are able to do too. So those investors give $1,000 each to make Hills Together happen. We put part of that into an endowment to help plan for the future. But the other part of that is what goes into the annual grant making. So that's the level of commitment that women have shown to this program by supporting it at $1,000 each.
Right. We know fundraising's been hard.
Yeah. Well, we all know that right now, right?
Yeah. Once again, you guys did a great job. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, thank you all so much for attending, and I look forward to getting your emails and shooting out the information. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.